So yeah, very nice fresh fragrance. I think there's even there is a little hint of an apple note in there, which reminds me actually of something that happened to me a few years back. Briefly, I was seeing this girl from Latvia. She was a Latvian lady, a really nice girl and a great cook. And now over there they had a great tradition of pickling things in cider, which is, of course is made of apples, which is what brought this to mind. And she used to pickle all kinds of things in cider, gherkins, onions, vegetables, mushrooms and things. And it sounds a bit weird, but they tasted really great. Now, I wasn't much of a cook and didn't have any of this kind of culinary expertise, but my little thing that I used to bring sometimes was there was a really great butcher on the way home from work for me, and I used to pick up these rather good sausages that they made there. So one night, I went home and she cooked a lovely dinner, and she cooked us up some of these sausages, but she gave me far too many. She gave me 4 on my plate. I ate 3 of them, and I got to the last one. I said, no, delicious though that was, thank you very much. I can't eat that last sausage. I think, well, let's just put it in the fridge and one of us can have it tomorrow. And it was at that point that she said, I've got a great idea. And she said, why don't I put my sausage in cider? So we did, and it was absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So it's springtime at last, well, nearly. I'm looking forward to spring, so I've decided to jump the gun a bit here at the very end of February and do my top 5 niche fragrances for spring 2020. Today's video is brought to you sponsored by my lovely friends over at Fragrance Samples UK. That is my recommended place around the world to get fragrance samples of over 600 designer and niche fragrances. They ship worldwide. If you are in the UK or one of 14 other European countries, you can just select your country at the checkout. If you're elsewhere in the world, for example, if you're in the USA, they do still ship out there. You just have to email them at info@fragrancesamplesuk.com and they can get those orders out to you wherever you are. And the link to their website is in the description of this video. So let's get stuck into my list. 5 great fragrances and 1 honourable mention. So springtime, of course, a really great fragrant time of year. We can perhaps move away from some of the heavier, more woody, more oody, more rich, more sweet fragrances that we might feel unnecessary or more appropriate in the colder weather, and we can really enjoy wearing things with more floral tones, citrus notes, a little bit more bright and breezy kind of accords in them. However, I always do say that the actual seasonality of fragrances is not something to be overly focused on, but let's say these fragrances have a spring-like feel. Wear them whenever you like. Okay, so let's get stuck into it. I've subtly hidden them behind me so I can reveal them to you. They're in no particular order apart from the honourable mention, which I'll do that one first. So now I put this as an honourable mention because this is from the brand NAVITUS, which of course, as you may well know, is the new brand of Stephen from the YouTube channel Redolescence. And I was conscious that people might think, oh, here we go again, he's been sent a free bottle, which I was, and therefore he's a shill, he's plugging it for them. So I'm not giving it an official status in my top 5, but I do want to mention that I've got great results on the only 2 times that I've worn this one so far. This fragrance that I'm featuring today is called NAVUS, similar to the actual brand name. It says Oswald exclusive on the back of it. I think you might actually be able to buy it online from Stephen. Recommended though, if you go over to Fragrance Samples UK, they have already got the full range of NAVITUS parfums, so you can get a sample from them. They do sizes from 1ml to 10ml, and that'll be a great way to see if you think it's worth investing your money. Now, I know not everybody is into these fragrance reviewer brands, but some of the stuff I've smelled from these guys is really good, and this is my absolute favourite. If you like citrus bright fragrances, you're going to love this one. It reminds me of a number of other things a bit. It's by no means a clone of any of them. Renaissance from Xerjoff, maybe Bulgari Aqua Amara a bit. I think there's a little bit actually of Xerjoff Neo. It's very bright. It's got a load of different citrus notes, like a citrus melange, and very, very good performance and really, really high quality smelling. So if you love citrus and you want to get some compliments, because I did get one compliment on this one, I think it's really worth checking out this one, NAVUS from NAVITUS. Okay, so check that one out, guys. But into the list proper. So I'm going to do no particular order. They're all equally great in my view. Again, good idea, so just maybe check them out through a small sample from Fragrance Samples UK. it's really good maybe if you get a bigger sample size, like a 10 ml or something, give something a really good go. You can have a small collection of just samples and they can last you a long time if you've got quite a few of them. Also, there's a load of brands that won't be featured in this video over there. A lot of the really famous niche and designer brands are there. And whatever you're trying to get into, if you're just exploring the world of niche fragrances for the first time, it is a great place to do that without blowing loads of cash. So let's get into my list. Number 5, then I'll count down, but the numbers are rather arbitrary. I'm going with AMOUAGE Beach Hut Man. Stunning, stunning fragrance. Peculiar name for a fragrance, but this is has become a huge favourite for me. So this was released back in 2017, and I think it was Elise Bennat, the perfumer, who did a stunning job. Some of the notes in this one include orange blossom, galbanum, vetiver, moss, ivy. I think a bit of mint. I'm not sure if that's officially listed. There's some patchouli. It's a really, really fresh fragrance. A Beach Hut Man sort of implies it's going to be extremely aquatic or summer holiday smelling, but it's not. It's almost kind of like an aromatic fougere meets citrus aromatic fragrance. It's very, very fresh and vibrant, but it's got something sort of unusual. Of course, AMOUAGE, more of an Eastern brand known for their exotic scents, and it definitely doesn't smell like your Creed fragrances really, or your run-of-the-mill designer freshies. It is very fresh. It's got a certain lovely citrus element to it, but it's also, to my nose, got a lot of vetiver and woods in there, a real crispness, and I get this kind of minty green, maybe the moss, the ivy, even a twist of mint in there or something like that. It gives it a really, really nice, different kind of smell, very fresh, kind of masculine smelling to me, and a really, really lovely one, and a bit, doesn't quite get the love I think it's well worthy of from the fresh fragrance lovers of the YouTube fragrance community. So Beach Hut Man, perfect for spring. Of course, when we talk about spring, we're talking about fresh fragrances, but maybe not the most transparent citrusy ones that we may wish to save more for the out and out hot summer weather. So Beach Hut Man, totally perfect in that kind of category. So what's next? Next up, I'm going to go with the one I don't actually have a full bottle of. I just got my sample from Fragrance Samples UK, my 10 ml. I put it in a snazzy atomizer. The ones you actually get from them come in very nice plastic atomizers, which do a great job. This fragrance is Invasion Barbar. Image of the fragrance appearing now on your screen. One of the most famous niche barbershop type fragrances, and it's a clever play on words, isn't it, with the name of the fragrance. So some of the notes in this one include cardamom, grapefruit, lavender, ginger, vanilla and musk. I think it was a 2005 release. I think it was Stephanie Bacouche, I think is a perfumer. Very, very famous fragrance, and it's a really lovely, creamy, sort of like shaving foam, but with a lot more than any real shaving foam I've ever smelled going on. A lovely powdery, creamy kind of thing with a bit of spice, definitely quite a lot of lavender, and a sort of really executive, high-end barbershop, like the most luxurious barbershop you've ever been in, might let you smell like this. Fantastic. It's got a certain vibrancy, it's got grapefruit, there's a refreshing element, it's well groomed, but it has more of a luxurious feel than things like Brut or the cheapy barbershop fragrances, or even, I would say, more so than the famous Rive Gauche Pour Homme from YSL. So a fantastic fragrance, really, really love that one. And once this gets low, my little decant here, I'm definitely looking to get a full bottle of that one and add it to the collection. But I've got enough there to wear it quite a few times, I think, in spring. Next up then, here's a fun one. I've got quite a few in here that are your sort of under the radar type brands, and this is certainly one of those. This is Etruscan Water from Francesca Bianchi, a very small fragrance house based out in the Netherlands. I think this is still my favourite from Francesca Bianchi, and another one that I think has reasonably recently appeared over at Fragrance Samples UK, who are very good for having the smaller niche brands as well as the obvious ones. Some of the notes included in this include bergamot, immortelle, petitgrain, grapefruit, oak moss, jasmine, very importantly, musk and woody notes. What we get really with this one is a beautiful kind of citrus opening. It will remind some of you perhaps of Dior's Eau Sauvage, maybe even the vintage original formula of that one of my favourite designer fragrances. And it's got that. Hedione is in there, which is a sort of chemical that has something to do with a similarity with the smell of ambroxan and was famously used to great effect in the original Dior Eau Sauvage. This one also has this slightly sultry sweetness and a musky, almost somewhat animalic undertone, just a little bit of funk in there, making it quite interesting and steering it away from being an out-and-out summer total freshie, but it's got this little bit of depth and complexity, even a sexy sensuality. Great performance as extract de parfum, and you won't hear too much talk about this one, but it deserves more credit. So that's Etruscan water, Francesca Bianchi, really, really good juice, and I'm looking forward to wearing that a lot this spring. So I think we have a couple more left. Next up, we're going to look at another under the radar brand, which I am trying to focus on in this video. And this fragrance is MOUSSE ILLUMINEE from Rogue Perfumery. Rogue Perfumery, based out in the States. The perfumer for these is Manuel Cross, and it's a really fascinating brand. They often don't comply with IFRA regulations, so this has real oak moss in it, I do believe. And he's a blurb about the fragrance, Manuel Cross, who is a former chef turned perfumer, is that he's sort of seeking to recreate an 80s or 70s powerhouse style fragrance. He's kind of done that, but with a modern niche twist to it too. Some of the notes in this one include oak moss, artemisia, green notes, and certainly a lot of piney notes. It doesn't actually have any citrus, so it's not a citrus freshie. It is fresh, but in a very green and very woody way. If you like things like Polo Green from Ralph Lauren, then you might be interested in this one. It doesn't smell massively just like that, but perhaps if you think a very sophisticated niche version of that with stellar performance, really for us old school fragrance lovers, but because it's got that kind of green leafy feel, it puts me in mind of spring, which is of course the season of greenness, when the shoots reappear and the green leaves appear back on the trees. And this really is the perfect fragrance, maybe for early spring when it's still chilly, certainly here in the UK, but there's just that hint that things are no longer quite as gloomy and dark and grey as they have been throughout the winter. This will really put a smile on your face if you like your old classics and you're also into your modern small niche houses.
Hoffmeister on draft. The moral is, if you want poetry, stand and stare. But if you want great lager, follow the bear. Hey.
Hoffmeister, a great lager, follow the bear.
Okay, so I think there's just one more to go, and it's BORTNIKOFF Musk Cologne. I am a real BORTNIKOFF fan. Musk Cologne is a fantastic citrus aromatic fragrance. I'm going to list some of the notes. We've got a real melange, as Max 40 would say, of citrus notes: bergamot, lemon, tangerine, and then we've got quite a lot of florals in there too. There's magnolia, is at least one of them. There's no jasmines. There's not so much of a jasmine fragrance. Some nice woods in the base, really nice real sandalwood, and crucially, real deer musk is used in this, which is a very, very rare ingredient indeed. Wonderfully juicy, vibrant, very natural smelling citrus opening. I really like the NAVITUS fragrance, but this smells more natural than that. That has more of a typical kind of citrus accord that we're more used to in our department store niche and designer fragrances. Very nice though it is. This one has something a little bit different to that. I don't think the deer musk is something that leaps out of me, but it perhaps is providing this subtle, sensuous, even just a tiny hint of the animalic under this. And again, that gives it a hint of the old school, but with some kind of new modern niche magic in there too. So BORTNIKOFF, a house run by the perfumer Dmitry Bortnikov, who's out in Thailand, a Russian gentleman. He distills the ingredients himself. They're very rare and hard to find ingredients, and they are really stunning fragrances. This is one of the more approachable and affable ones. I don't think there's any oud in this one. Some of them are very heavy and pungent. This one is very, very good in performance, really, really fresh, and just a perfect spring combination of beautiful citrus, lovely florals, some woodiness in the base, and a sort of slightly old school musky sexiness that is absolutely magic. It is expensive stuff, so don't dive in necessarily in blind buy. Get yourself a sample from the sponsors of this video and see if you like it as much as I do, but I think that is a stunner. So guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of my picks. I've picked some quite unspoken of niche fragrances, I think, for this year's list. There are loads of others that I do still love by other brands that I haven't mentioned, but I just wanted to focus on some of these ones to make the list a bit more different from the other ones that I've done in past years. So let me know what you think about that and of my selections, and what your favourite fragrances are that you're looking forward to wearing this coming spring. Please let it come soon. It's so grey and dark here in England. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Bye bye.
Baby.